Hey guys, welcome back to Chillin' with Cool Dad. Oh, and everything's just going off. Actually, I'm glad that happened because now I'm going to remember to silence my phone for y'all. So, how have you been? It's another week, and here's another video going down my ADHD autistic rabbit hole. So, one of the things I've been working on lately is I'm working on writing my first cookbook. As you may or may not know, and if you go back far enough, you'll see my Cooking with a Cool Dad. I actually dove deep into back into the culinary world again, and one of the things I found is there's a lot of things out there. A lot of the foods that we eat on a daily basis are full of crap. And I'm not here preaching any health or anything like that. I'm just talking from my experience and what I've seen. Now, what I have found as well is there's ways around a lot of all that. So I decided it was time for me to put that down on paper. Now, my goal is to have this cookbook ready for sale beginning early to mid April. It's still a work in progress. I've still got plenty of work to do on it. And I'll get into more of that in a minute. But that's where I'm at with that. So it's in progress. Another few weeks left to it, I think, and I should have it ready, all trimmed and worked out and looking good and ready to publish. Some of you were like, another cookbook? What do we need that for? Well, this one, my first one, is going to be about condiments and sauces and stuff, what you put on your food. Everything from ketchup and mustard and mayonnaise to gravies and sauces and veloutés, which I know sounds hoity toity, but it's a fun sauce to make. And my goal is to break these all down in such a way that any of you can do it. What what my reasoning behind it is I have tons of recipes for these things that I use myself personally. If you're over on TikTok, you see me make mayonnaise from scratch. Um, and I want to share that because here's the thing: if you are worried about the food you eat, worried about your health and what you're putting into your body, and a lot of people are, I want to give you the tools to put the best possible stuff into your body. Now, I'm going to get rid of, in my recipes, I get rid of things like your high fructose corn syrup, your preservatives, things like that. Now, we'll take the mayonnaise, for example. You know what goes into mayonnaise? Oil, which I use avocado oil, which is heart healthy, egg, and if you can get farm fresh eggs, even better. But your store bought eggs will work okay for that because they're not horrible. Salt, and again, I use sea salt. If you see that video, when you see the recipe, when the book comes out, I use sea salt because it's a slightly different version of salt. Doesn't have any. It's literally just chloride, well, sodium chloride, I believe. There is a slight difference between that and table salt, though. And mustard. I use a Dijon mustard, which is no preservatives. I have a recipe to make your own mustard. I hadn't made my own at the time, but you can make your own mustard and use it as well. That recipe will be in there as well. So when you get this mayonnaise made up, you have a fresh, tasty, what do they call it? Sandwich lube, for lack of another term, that is not only healthier for you than most of what you're going to find at the store. You control what's in it. You control the flavor, and it gives you options. And in this cookbook, I'm also going to have little tidbits at the end to talk about if you want to take and roast some garlic, which will be in the cookbook. Roast some garlic and put a little bit of that garlic in there with it. You make yourself a garlic aioli. When you're making it up, you put 1 cup of oil in there. Now, if I put 3/4 of a cup of oil and a quarter cup of bacon fat, I know, not as healthy. This is the slightly indulgent side that you get to play with, though. You replace a quarter of that cup of oil or less. You can play around with what you prefer with the bacon fat. Put some crumbled up cooked bacon in there, a little bit of maple syrup, and make sure you get the good pure maple syrup. It's worth the extra money you'll spend. Not maple flavored syrup. That's a whole different ball game. And yeah, you want actual authentic maple syrup that is nothing but maple sap, period. Boiled down. That's all it is. Good maple syrup. And you put maybe a touch of garlic in there, some of that roasted garlic, just a little bit of that roasted garlic in there. You make yourself a maple bacon garlic aioli, which is amazing on breakfast sandwiches. Now, I know some people are going to be like, well, I don't have time to do all that. You do. But here's the thing, I'm not telling you to change out your entire pantry in one day either. This cookbook is going to be a tool for people. As these recipes have been a tool for me to work on my own health. Am I perfect? Hell no. I'm getting that. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress as well. And I'm okay with that because every day I make a little bit of change to try and make my life a little bit better. This is one of those tools you can do with that with. So let's just say week one, you like making your sandwiches for lunch. Taking your lunch to work, you make a sandwich every day. So Sunday, it's a nice relaxed day. You say, you know what? I'm going to make my mayonnaise today. And you make up your plain old mayonnaise. Okay. Now use that for the week. Okay, cool. We've got our mayonnaise. That's one thing. Now you're like, that was pretty good. So you start making your mayonnaise on every couple weeks because depending on how much you use is how long it's going to last. Ketchup. I will tell you this: when I got back from being overseas working, I was shocked by how sweet ketchup tastes here in the States. It's like candy. And I was very used to a more savory ketchup without the high fructose corn syrup and other stuff in it. There's a recipe in there for ketchup. Make your own ketchup. And again, you want to make jalapeno ketchup? Go for it. You want to make garlic ketchup, horseradish ketchup, which is essentially cocktail sauce, but same point. You can do that. You have the power to make whatever you like there. And then it goes on. It goes on at great length. But the point I'm making here is this started out as one of my autistic deep dive things, which was inspired by my ADHD and became a way I could focus on improving my own health. Am I perfect at that? God, no. I admit that. I have no problem admitting that. But it's a step. And like I always say, you just got to keep moving forward. Even if it's baby steps, you're still moving forward. These are my little steps. The the other thing I personally like about it, being somebody who's, on the ADHD spectrum, as you will, or as it were, as it was, whatever. I like the process that comes with making a recipe because recipes clearly define the process and you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you have a start, a middle, and a finish. And you know where you are in that process at all times. And I make sure that when I write these recipes, I lay it out very specifically so that when you follow those directions, you know exactly where you are in the process. So even if you're a little neurospicy, there's a way to work with it. And working with small things can lead to working with bigger things. This cookbook in particular is specifically going to be for condiments and sauces and such. I'm already making plans for the next one when we start getting into recipes for full on meal. Well, not to say full on meals, but for your entrees. And you put a couple of those recipes together, you got a full on meal. So, do I think everybody should be home cooking every day? That'd be nice. I'm not going to lie, it'd be nice to see. Don't get me wrong, as somebody that works in the food business, yes, I know you're like, well, you're kind of killing off your business. No, because the reality is nobody's going to cook every day. There are days when I just don't have the energy left at the end of the day to cook. I'm human. It's okay. There are days when I just look at it and like, screw it, I'm ordering pizza. Is it perfect? Oh God, no. Oddly enough, no, we're not going to go down that road. But the nutritional setup of a Little Caesars pizza is oddly not as horrible as you'd think. Just going to say that. I'm not saying it's healthy by any stretch, but the thing is, even if you pick one night a week to cook for yourself or your family or hell, your friends even, get a couple of good friends, you all have the same night off, say, hey, everybody cook one dish tonight. We'll get together, we'll all enjoy dinner together. Because it's not just about making the food. It's not just about looking at your body's physical health. That's also about your mental and emotional health as well, because the social time over food is incredible stuff. Excuse me. The social time over food is just incredible stuff for your mental and emotional well being. Whether you are single, married, one of the other setups out there that I don't judge. I may not understand, but I don't judge. You're a thruple, a polycule, or whatever it is that y'all are calling it these days. Whatever makes you happy. As long as it's not infringing on somebody else's ability to be happy, I mean, legitimately infringing, go for it. But getting people you care about together and eating food together is an awesome thing. And when you start looking on a bigger picture, why is it any major celebration usually involves food? When there's some big, meeting between heads of countries, what do? They have a state dinner. When somebody gets married, what follows at the reception? Food. When there's a funeral, food. Any major event in life is usually got food attached to it. And when we're sitting together and we're eating, that puts us in a state of mind where we're more open to communicate more fully with each other. So it's like I said, it's all about that mental, emotional, and physical health all coming together. And when you guys are sitting there, and I use guys as a very neutral term, just before anybody comes after me on that. Okay, when y'all are sitting there eating this food that you guys made for each other, I did it again. It changes it up even more because, yeah, you could go to the restaurant, you can order food, you can sit there and have a good time. But when you get together with the food that you actually prepared, there's something more to it because you're not making food because someone's paying you to do it. You're not making food because it's your job. You're not making food because that's how you pay your rent and such. You're making food because you care about the people who are going to eat it, whether it's friends, whether it's family, loved ones, whatever. And that's what makes the difference. And that's why I got hardcore into the writing of this cookbook. And I'm fortunate that I was able to couple that with my love for clean foods and my wanting to get away from the artificial sweeteners and the preservatives and such. And I'm not taking anybody's side politically. This is my personal outlook from somebody whose background is in healthcare and has translated that along with other things into a culinary career. Man, this is what happens when you're ADHD. You go down weird rabbit holes some days and you find ways to incorporate that all into what you do have a passion for. I was talking to a friend of mine recently whose daughter is in their school band, and this kid's got some chops. Let me tell you, if she had the passion for the music, let me tell you, there'd be no stopping her. But that's not her passion. She enjoys it, but it's not her passion. I'm fortunate that my passion is food, and I'll tell you, the fact that there's so many things like this, I can just tie into that passion. It's like it's amazing. It keeps every day exciting. So this has been my little trip down the ADHD rabbit hole as far as food, but I will keep you guys updated on the cookbook and when it comes out. So keep an eye out here. Throw me a like, subscribe. If you got questions, shoot them down below in the comment section. I read all the questions. I read all the comments. I reply to them. I mean, if you're a dick, you might get blocked, but that's all I got. I encourage open and honest conversation. Just don't be a dick. Be a decent human being. That's how you get to have conversations. It's what it comes down to. Anyways, that's it for this week. Eh, yeah, universe is still hating on my hair. We all know that. Be kind to one another. It really does make a huge difference in the world. Even if it may not show right away, it does. I love y'all, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.